Hey guys, it's Graham. What's crackin'? This is my review of Farewell Summer by Ray Bradbury. For the last couple of summers, I've tried to read his book Dandelion Wine, and I finally got through it in 2020. And just beautiful writing. He's got a very unique style, a unique quality. And when I found out that he'd written a sequel to it, I picked that one up, and I intentionally held off on reading it until September rolled around. I don't know if it works this way for you guys, but for my money, when I try to read a seasonal book that's out of season, it just kind of throws me off internally. If it's the summertime, I want to read summertime books, and so on and so forth. But Dandelion Wine was unique in the sense that he didn't really write it to be like one big long narrative. It was more of a love story to his childhood summers in Waukegan, Illinois. He kind of fictionalized it. He called it Greentown, but a lot of the characters were based on people that he knew and his family and stuff. And it was just about a kid who was so glad to be out of school for the summer and looking forward to a full summer of going to the picture show and having ice creams and harvesting dandelions from his front lawn and helping his grandpa to make them into wine, hence the title. It was a very sensory novel, but each chapter was like an individual episode in the summer. The boys would get a harebrained idea into their heads and they'd chase it around and they'd have fun with it. It was a celebration of childlike wonder. The main two characters are two brothers named Doug and Tom. They've got kind of clashing personalities and different ideas about how to view the world. And while the story mostly centers on them, some of the individual chapters focus on other people in this little Americana town from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, whatever it was. There are a couple of recurring themes in it, not really anti-growth, anti-development so much, but the value of preserving something beautiful and not giving it up for something that's just more convenient. I remember there was one of the little stories in there where there was some door-to-door salesman who was selling a new type of sod, a new type of grass that didn't need to be watered and didn't need to be cut. And Doug's grandpa was like, no, I mean, I'll buy all this up from you and throw it in the ravine or whatever. But he goes on and waxes poetic about cutting grass and how it's a time-honored tradition and how it's good for you and all that stuff. I enjoy Ray Bradbury's perspective on the world and on life, and finding beauty in things that aren't even necessarily mundane, things that are actually hard to get hold of, especially here now in the 21st century. It's hard to live the kind of life that the characters do in his books, unless you live kind of in a rural small town. But technology has kind of changed the way that we live and taken some of that away from us, but I think we could still find it and make it, and if we were to read more of his writings from that time of his life or in that vein, I think we might value that childhood innocence and that sense of wonder and look at the world a little bit more the way that he did when he was younger. He wrote both of these books, Dandelion Wine and Farewell Summer, by just getting up early and kind of first thing in the morning. He would just sit down at his typewriter and chase a feeling, chase a thought, and write it down. And that's kind of why Dandelion Wine is so episodic. Each chapter is a different little episode in what happens this summer, or the summer that he's writing about. It took him like over 50 years to write a sequel to it, which was the Farewell Summer story. And while it still kind of has that wonder and those bits of monologue and soliloquy where both young men and old men are talking about life and youth and age and purpose and all that stuff, it's got those same elements to it, but Farewell Summer is more of a structured narrative of where the young kids go to war with the old men, and they're trying to stop time and keep themselves from getting old. The kids are, and they end up vandalizing the town clock, and then there's a bit of a vein of atonement as they go to undo the damage that they did. I wasn't tremendously into Farewell Summer until about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through, where Doug sits down and has a conversation with his grandpa, and Bradbury says in the afterword that he based Doug's grandpa off of his own grandpa and his own childhood. And I had more talks like that with my mama. Didn't really have deep conversations with my papa or my grandpa, but I knew that they both loved me. They were just men of their time and of their age, and they had a different lived experience that I'm going to have, and they loved in their own way. I value those conversations that Ray Bradbury's characters have, because they make me want to be better at being a dad, be more involved in developing that side of my sons as they grow up, helping them to develop that emotional side stronger, to grow up to be good, solid, well-rounded, and intentional men, to impart wisdom that it is the responsibility of every generation to impart to the next. It makes me want to be better at that. So it is a recommend. It might take you a while to chew through it, because they're not the kind of books, even though they're short, they're not the kind of books that you just sit down and mow through them easily, because there's a lot to absorb and a lot to think about and a lot to feel. But among Bradbury's books that I have read, they are some of my favorite, and I highly recommend you check them out. That's it for today. I've got to get back on the road, get home and make dinner. Had a long week and I've still got one day of it left, so that's it for now. Drive safe. See you guys out there.